I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. I'm announcing a historic action to...
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Developing Dad podcast. We've got some stuff to talk about today. Let's get into a little trouble on the lunch break. So, Donald Trump, the D.C. Police Department has been an utter failure. And he says, well, we're just going to take the Capitol back. And apparently, you all, this is a bad thing. Who knew? Law and order, safety, and the like. The leader of the executive branch wanting law and order in the District of Columbia seemed like a good idea, but apparently there is a loud majority that doesn't want this to happen. Now, the Home Rule Act, he's well within his authority to do it. There are some people who hate everything that Donald Trump does, so they don't care that he's well within his authority to do it. They just have TDS, and nothing that he does will ever be good enough for them. But he's trying to restore law and order. Now, this could be, and some people may say, oh, okay, well, he's doing this because he wants to distract us from the Epstein saga. I actually don't take that position. I think that there have been some things that have happened that he's using to distract us from the Epstein saga and the connections to Israeli intelligence and the like. But this isn't one of them. Why don't I think this is one of them? Well, because this is going to get him more censure than anything. Because the left is going to castigate him for these actions. Because they're going to call, and they've already done it, they're going to call him racist. They're going to protest, which is what they did. This is probably one of the most sincere things that he's done during this presidency. I don't see how in any way, shape, or form this could be viewed as a negative. But there are people who have strong TDS that apparently want to continue to allow Miriam Bowser and the police chief of Pamela, I forget her name, to continue in their incompetence and run the District of Columbia in any way they see fit, and the results are just the results. He could have easily left this alone, but this is a move that is actually going to get him censure. He's going to be called a racist. Now, he has some other stuff to say about why he's doing it. Let's listen in to this one. All right. Let's see. Hold on one second. Let's see. Welcome, Keegan Marshall. Thank you for tuning in. If you could come in and like the video on your way in, thank you for tuning in. All right, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know how we do it. All right, even the trolls, y'all are welcome. All right.
City, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the capital. If our capital's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually. City, you know, my
Right.
father always used to tell me.
He's essentially saying that if the place that we call our capital, our nation's capital, is dirty, it's vile, it's a place that you wouldn't want to visit, it's overrun with crime and the like, then the rest of the country is probably the same way. And for the most part, the majority cities, the large cities in our nation, are just like DC, Cincinnati, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Oakland, Los Angeles, Camden, New Jersey, New York City. Go down the line. If you go to most of these major cities, you'll find that crime is high, and people don't want to visit there for safety concerns. Baltimore's another one. Now, there's been some dips in their crime rates, but people are attributing that to the wrong solutions, right? But we'll talk about that at another time. Trump needs to do this. And at some point, the governors of these states where these cities are overrun with crime need to follow suit. At some point, we need to eliminate this criminal element that is plaguing our cities. Now, there's a central theme, and I'm a Christian, so there's a central theme in the Bible where the cities are the place where these things happen, where lawlessness ensues, and when you get a congregation of people together, and you don't have law and order, and there's not virtue present there, you're going to get this type of behavior. And we see continually how it's being excused. Liberal judges are allowing criminals to walk free. They're soft on crime. Well, whatever you subsidize or whatever you turn a blind eye to, or if you're soft on crime, you're going to get more of it. That goes without saying, right? All of the stats bear this out. History bears this out. When you deal with kids, you see that if you permit them to do a certain thing, that's the thing that they're going to continue to do. Well, if you allow them to steal, guess what? Theft becomes normal to them. If you allow them to use foul language, if you allow them to veg out on screens, whatever you allow them to do is what they're going to indulge in. And that goes to man's fallen nature. Let me say hello to everybody that's tuning in. All right, so we got Sir Dan, Rocky Nitro, thank you for tuning in. Denny, thank you. Fausto Rosa, thank you. All right, Dr. GT3, thank you for tuning in. Aver Edits, thank you. Jesse B, Jan Kotz, and Jesse B. Thank you to everybody that is tuning in. Blue Ocean, thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. Blue Ocean, I just don't get why Democrats can't do anything to clean up their streets. Blue Ocean, it's not that they can't. It's that they won't. They just won't. They have a different mindset when it comes to punishment. They believe in rehabilitation for the vast majority of people, that many can be rehabilitated. If you keep giving them chance after chance, they'll see the light, and then all of a sudden they'll stop doing wicked things. Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know why. That's a great question. Why don't they? For the Democrats that I've talked to, both politicians and Democratic voters, they continue to believe that, and this is specifically when I discuss the black community with them, they believe that environment is the reason why black people can't or won't let's say the word eschew crime and violence and immorality. They believe that if you change their environment and educate them, then they won't do these things. Now, there may be some truth to education being a deterrent to certain types of behavior, but that ideology essentially makes it seem like poor and uneducated is equivalent to immoral. Not discounting the fact that poor people have been virtuous people in the past. There are poor people who are virtuous today. Poverty is not a one-to-one with immorality, because there are some very rich, immoral people as well. Money doesn't mean that you are somehow virtuous, right? And so a lot of this is based on a false premise that black people are the way they are because they are poor. And that couldn't be further from the truth. My grandfather was never rich, was well below the poverty line. My grandmother as well. Hundreds upon hundreds of black people that I grew up underneath in church contexts and church settings were never, ever rich, but they were virtuous. They were people that you could look to and say, I'm going to emulate their behavior, their hard work, their diligence, their virtue, their character, and that would make me a better person. And it had nothing to do with the amount of money that they had. Black people have never been more financially, what's the word I'm looking for? Capable, I guess, in than they are today. Estimates are 1.2 to 1.8 trillion in earning power today. Yet we have these problems. Go back 100 years. Go back 60, 80 years. And black people weren't as rich as they are today, but we were better when it comes to virtue, right? So this has nothing to do with money. This has nothing to do with education, because education in the black community you have the phenomenon of,
I'm a PhD.
Right, the black woman is the most educated demographic in the United States. That's what we're always told. Then why are we still seeing these pathologies? Why are these large cities filled with crime, and the vast majority of that crime is being committed by a certain demographic? Why is that the case? If education and money would solve it, well, blacks are more educated and richer than we ever have been. So what's the problem? Right? What's the problem? If education were to solve, if education solved the problem, what's going on, Brother Chuck? What's happening? Right? What's going on? Yes. Yeah. Right. Was a stretch goal, right? Growing up, right? Yeah. I know we talk about this. And we see so many people are engaging with this content because Trump is actually laying out so many. Yes. Thank you for reminding me, Caleb Goss. Right. Like the video on your way in. He says I got 302 likes. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Post that in. Like the video on your way in. No problem. All right. But keep commenting too, Caleb. That also helps the algorithm. All right. Here we go.
It is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. It is.
Right. You can't even mention, at some point, you can't even mention to certain people that these cities are a problem without them calling you names or accusing you of racism, of Uncle Tomery, of whatever it is they want to talk about, right? Yeah. Now, the underlying problems, New York City, Baltimore, and Oakland, he says they're so far gone, and that they will go further, right? So he's actually, yeah, I know. Yes, I believe, yes. Yeah. So, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, we have too many people who are unwilling to address the actual concerns or the actual pathologies that plague the black community, right? And apparently, if you say anything about them, then
you ain't black.
Then you ain't black, right? So you can't. There's only a specific way. So I've learned this on my. What's going on, brother Edwin? I've learned this in my 40 plus years on this earth, almost 50 years. The black community only wants to hear a certain message from a certain type of person, right? So the message has to be on code, and it has to come from someone who checks all the boxes. What do I mean by that? Well, if you say anything negative about the black community, you're dismissed out of hand, right? You can't, statistics, facts, data, all of that stuff is don't bring that into the discussion, okay? There is no place for objective reality being placed in front of the black community's eyes. You can't say anything if you're white. You can't say anything if you're black. You definitely can't say anything if you are black and married to someone who is not black. See, all of these things, there's all of these caveats that allow them to skirt responsibility, right? They won't allow you to speak, right? So I've had people say, well, your message won't ever be received well because you wear a bow tie. Another caveat, right? Oh, I can't wear bow ties. All right. Your message won't be received because of XYZ, because you're lame. I'm like, yes, I am lame. I know that. I've known that for probably about 45, maybe 42 of the years I've been on this earth. I've come to just accept that. I'm fine with being lame because I'm not trying to live up to any standard of blackness that essentially wants me to be quiet and never say anything. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I can't. I would be untrue to myself. And people would recognize me as fake if I tried to be truly black, because that's not how I was raised. So all of these, all this list of things that you can't say, you can't do. You can't be married to a white woman, and you can't be an upstanding citizen, right? Like the Glenn Lowrys and the Coleman Hugheses and the Shelby Steeles and the Larry Elders and the Thomas Sowells and the Walter Williams and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't. These people are not. Clarence Thomas, Ben Carson. None of these people are to be trusted. Why? Because they don't fit the stereotypical mold of what it means to be black, right? They've been identified as,
and you ain't black.
Then you ain't black, right? Yes. Appreciate you all for tuning in, right? Truly black, right? Yeah, you got to be truly black. Okay. You can't. You have to like you have to like the music, certain style of music. You can't like certain types of movies, television shows, or whatever. Yes, and we are definitely curious about the Epstein files. If you have not been paying, let me do this for you guys. just so you know, I'm going to pull this up for you. I'm going to pull this up because people keep asking. All right, hold on one second. People keep asking. I'm going to ask. I'm going to let you all see. This is at last count, there were 18. I had 18 episodes about Epstein. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, sorry. I gotta bring it up. Yes, we're still asking the question, right? Yeah. Last month, I think I did about 20 episodes specifically on the topic, right? And we're trying to get to the bottom of the fact that why is it now that all of these new stories are coming out that are designed to distract us from Epstein's Mossad connections, Ghislaine Maxwell possibly being pardoned, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're going to use what's hot in the algorithm to bring people in and still have that discussion. But the algorithm currently isn't rewarding discussions about Epstein. We're still going to talk about it, but we're going to bring people in with, I mean, it's just content creation 101. You got to bring people in and then we talk about those things and make connections, right? Like if you're familiar with Jason Whitlock's show, I don't really watch it, but for years he was all about the Deion Sanders stuff. Why? Because Deion Sanders was what was popping in the algorithm and he just kept talking about him. And that's kind of where he lost me. I was like, I don't want to hear about Deion Sanders. I don't really care. I don't care about Deion, Shador, Travis Hunter or anything. That's where he lost me. I stopped watching. Right. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. But you got to use, if you're a content creator, you got to go with what people want to talk about. There are things that I want to talk about, you know, but people don't want to hear me talk about that stuff. So I have to realize if I want to get viewers, I got to talk about what people want me to talk about, something that I like and that they like. It's a joint thing, right? Now let's talk about this. He talked about cities going too far. Let's talk about some of the cities that he didn't mention. Okay. Specifically one that's near and dear to my heart. Okay. Where is it? Yeah, I know 6 months in and ain't no Epstein information. I know, guys. Right. So this is violence that's going on in, you know, I guess I have to blur this because I have to blur it. But this is essentially a fight that's going on in New Orleans, where I grew up. Right. They're fighting. And if you show violence on YouTube, they tend to frown on that. But this is in the French Quarter. And there's a fight between multiple groups. And so we have fights going on here. It's not even, you know, I mean, it's a brawl. It's multiple people fighting. This is Baton Rouge, Louisiana here, where I think I can take the blur off of this one because it's not violence. But they're just in the streets blocking traffic, right? Blocking traffic. Being disrespectful. Thank you, Yoshi. Let me check this out. Okay. Right. Just blocking traffic, being ratchet. Why is this allowed? Super chat from Yoshi. Yoshi says, thank you again, Yoshi, for the super chat. Always appreciate it. Those stuck on Epstein are waiting for Godot. Okay. The world has more going on than that. The moves being made are making real change. Save our communities. Yeah. So we think we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? We think that we can Tulsi Gabbard, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, they should be doing their job to uncover as much of the deep state as possible. That's what we think. Now, they aren't doing that because they're allowing the Epstein thing to go unsolved, essentially, right? And we're looking at this and thinking, okay, this is an obvious cover up. But that doesn't mean that we focus solely on that, because there are still major issues: immigration, crime, the economy, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Israel-Iran conflict. You got the rise of black fatigue, right? There's so much going on in our country. We should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We're not asking Trump to do everything because he can't, but his administration should be doing all of these things. They should be handling all of them. Tom Homan has his duty. Make sure he's doing it well. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Piro, whoever else is supposed to be, going after the deep state. Gabbard, go after the deep state. We want them to be able to do that as well. So the administration, we want the administration to do its job. So if that, and there's so much, there's even bigger problems than that. The fact that we're being taken over from within, right? We have un-American ideologies being brought into our government at the local, the state, and the federal level. We've got Omar Fateh, Zoran Mamdani possibly becoming mayors of some of our larger cities. We've got state senators already in office that are anti-American. We've got Congress people anti-American. Senators like Ted Cruz saying that he wanted his main goal when getting into the Senate or the House or wherever he got into first was to be the biggest defender of Israel. We are an occupied nation, whether it be from within, right? Our government, we've got Zionists in our government. Zionists are they litter our government. And then we don't talk about the PDF file ring and the deep state and everything. At what point are we going to recognize how deep this goes and how much we have to fight in order to get back to a sense of normalcy in America? All right. So we want all of that stuff to, it's a lot. When you think about it, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And so, yeah, if the price of eggs comes down, but Trump is still BB's broad, then how is that a good thing? How is that a good thing? Right? That's what we want. We want to stop being Israel's vassal. We want to continue to weed out illegal immigrants, but not just illegal immigrants, anti-American sentiments from politics. There should be no person that in politics that can't swear on to uphold the Constitution. And so where else are we going to be given the opportunity to, or when? This is even a better question. When else will we have the opportunity to fight this fight? Because sadly, Trump is about as good as it gets when it comes to, I mean, okay, so who's coming after Trump? Who's coming after Trump? Like the next president. Who do we see on the horizon that would actually be someone worth voting for, that would actually go in and try to root out the deep state? Who do we see next? Because there's Zionists coming after him, right? What's going on, Pro What? What's happening? Always got to say hello to Pro What when he comes in. What's happening? Vance Gabbard, you say, Yoshi? Yeah, I don't know about Vance. I'm still not sold on him, and I'm definitely not I'm a repeal the 19th guy, so I'm never going to vote for a woman. Like that's just, I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to campaign for one. So I'm very, very open and honest about that. I would never want this country to be run by a woman. Ever. I'm being straight up honest about it. Right? I think the vast majority of our problems come from the fact that the 19th Amendment was ratified. I think our problems are largely due to the effeminization of men in our culture, who aren't willing to stand up and actually think logically, stand biblically, right? See, I mean, yeah. See, Melissa Morris is a woman and she agrees, right? Yeah. And I'm fine with being called sexist. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not interested in your opinions on it. Yeah, what's going on? What's happening? Yeah, I mean, why would I y'all want me to lie to you? Let me ask you, do you want me to lie? Because I don't lie. I'm not gonna be lying about that. If I actually have the position, should I tiptoe around it and tell you all, well, you know what, I'm okay. This is not a mask off moment, guys. I've said this in multiple podcasts that I want the 19th repealed. Shocker. Universal suffrage. Someone made the point that they gave black men the right to vote before they gave the white woman the right to vote. That's how much the founders and those who were actually in control thought of the women being able to vote. They gave sub-Saharan men. That's what the person actually said. They gave the sub-Saharan men the right to vote before they gave the white woman the right to vote. I mean, you guys you can say whatever. Look, it's a historical fact. You may not like the truth, but it is a historical fact. So what do you want me to tell you? That that's not the case? And do you want me to lie to you and tell you that we're a better country for it? We're in the throes of trying to correct so many injustices and okay, here we go. Look at that. Here we go. I'm gonna do this. Here you go, guys. Here you go. And this is just one. Here we go. Let's just look at the photo. These are police chiefs. This is the one, DC, right? DC. See if y'all notice a pattern. New Orleans. Who is this? This is Cincinnati. I don't even know who this one is. What is this? Memphis. And these are just 4. We talking about mayors, police chiefs, and the like. So they're asking the question, all blue cities, right? What's going on with our police chiefs? What's that? Mayor Bowser. People saying that, they're red states, but the cities are blue. The cities are blue, guys. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Know the difference between a state and a city. Here we go.
He's been making these threats since last year, and now he's carrying through with them. There's no reason to believe he won't go further. What do you say to the president about his threats to bring the military, not just National Guard, but the military?
We don't, and I think I speak for all Americans, we don't believe it's legal to use the American military against American citizens on American soil. I'm not a lawyer, and but I think that's a fairly widely held fact. And so, but we've seen them move, I think, the active military into California. So it's a question. We've seen active military on the borders of DC some years ago, and we don't believe that our military should be used against American citizens. Yes.
Mayor Bowser,
So apparently, let lawlessness continue, even though there is a clear law that Trump statute that he can enact in order to bring lawfulness back to DC. But she would much rather lawlessness ensue and just continue, right? Because they're okay with the level of violence. What's the downside of him federalizing the police department and bringing in the National Guard? Help me to understand why he shouldn't do this. All right. Someone says, okay, crime in DC is at a 30-year low. Okay. But is it still high? How high is it? That's the question. Because people could say, oh, it's at a 30-year low. How high did it get? How much is acceptable? How much is acceptable? Yeah, what is the downside? Y'all tell me. What's the downside? There's lawlessness that's going on. People aren't safe to walk the streets late at night. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to put this one up here. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's decreasing. Okay. Right. Yeah, right. Oh, we got historic low. Well, not historic, but it's lower than it's been since. Yeah, but it's still extremely high. And violent crime is still extremely high. And we've come to tolerate a certain level of it in all of these major cities. Right? We've even gotten to the point now, look at this. So y'all know this is one of the reasons why people are starting to push back on this. 7th suspect arrested in connection with violent attack in Cincinnati. Detective testifies the incident was coordinated. Coordinated. Wow. But we've got a group in Cincinnati that wants the white guy charged. The victim.
Aggravated assault, which is a felony. The white guy incited or urged 6 other people to commit a felony.
The method by which this situation has been handled raises serious questions as to whether there's bias involved in the investigation. It also brings into question the possibility of a lack of integrity and whether there's something else to hide.
6 individuals were charged with aggravated assault, which is...
So let's look at this one. AN says this. AN says this. AN, let me ask you a question. Are you black? I want to, before I bring this, I want to ask you a question. Are you black? Because the question that I'm going to ask is going to be dependent on your answer to this. Here you go. Are you black, AN? Because don't speak on Cincinnati, says AN. Right? All right. The white guy said the N-word to a group of 20 black Cincy folks. All right. So he says, is white and raised in Westwood, Cheviot. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So is it your contention that, AN, that I as a black man am allowed to be violent with a white person who says the N-word? Is it your contention that that word is a trigger for me to lose all self-control? Okay, cool. So essentially, I'm an animal that doesn't have any control when someone says that word. I'm incapable of self-control. I'm lower, right? So I'm allowed to be violent. Because the standard that you set for someone is what you think of them. Is there a word that causes you to lose all self-control? Is it? Can you not control yourself if someone calls you a name? I'm just asking. Because if black people are allowed to just, well, when someone said that word, now I got to go upside their head. Like, okay. You don't even, because then people will also point to the fact that, Martin Luther King's nonviolence, right? They'll say that they believe that he was on to something, right? So here's the thing. This is essentially you all's argument. They call you a ninja, so now I get to act like one. That's essentially what y'all are saying. They call you a ninja, so that gives me license to act like one. Okay. That's you all's mindset. So I'm going to prove them right, essentially. Right? They call you that, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to be what you called me. Okay. So then, essentially, that white person still owns you. Because all they have to do is say one word. They say that word, make sure that they got police around, you going to jail. They still own you. Because that word owns you. You're still a slave. But go for it. Enjoy slavery. I don't let anyone... They're not going to get a rise out of me just because they say a word. First of all, that word has no bearing on who I am. Is it true? That's the question you should be asking. Because I get called that all the time in my comments. And it's mostly by black people. I've been called that word more by black people than by a white person. The number, if you want to go with the number of times I've been called the N-word, it may be thousands upon thousands by black people and online only by white people, possibly in the comments of videos or Facebook. See, y'all don't even understand. White people are not just walking around calling black people the N-word. It's not 1960. They're not just walking, boy, N-word, come on over here, ninja, and shine my shoes. Right? y'all, that's so sad. That y'all let that word own you. And you think it's a flex. You think it's a flex to let that, you know how many times people call me that? And it's just like rolls, right? It's right over. It's like, okay. Did it make you feel better? Did it make you feel better? Right? To call me that? Did it make you feel better? Okay. Woo. I'm glad you got to call me that. Oh, goodness. But they want to charge these white people. The white man who incited violence. And then we got DeKalb, what's that, Polk County, Florida, where this gentleman, I use the term loosely, knocks out a store clerk for looking at him, throws a soda at the guy's head. Right? Always ready to be violent. Why? Why? Where's the self-control? Where's the virtue of temperance? But you ain't gonna find that. Yeah. You ain't gonna find that. Where's this being taught? Where's self-control being taught? Manly self-control. Someone can look at you They can call you names. You are in control of how you respond. You're not an animal that only acts on instinct. We've got too much of this going on and not enough of people actually practicing virtue. Now, this is part of the problem is we've got a liberal judge problem, right? We've got a liberal judge problem. This is one of the reasons why we keep seeing crime, right? Repeat offenders. Armand Langford was sentenced to 14 years for robbing 22 people at ATMs. Was then released from prison by Democrat appointed judge Jessica Green after serving only 6 months. A few days ago, Langford allegedly kidnapped 2 kids and their mother, whom he also stabbed. He then forced her to drive to a bank and demanded $20,000 from the bank teller. He was arrested after a 6-hour manhunt and now has a $1 million bond. He should have never been on the streets again. Oh, yeah, it's definitely a heart issue. Yeah. But these liberal judges, they're not just black. Y'all are probably familiar with this case, right? Colorado DA Amy Padden has officially dropped all charges against Solomon Gilligan. I'm thinking of the TV show. With him likely soon to be released from his treatment facility to terrorize the people of Colorado once again on camera, trying to abduct an 11-year-old about to walk free. This is one of the reasons why Trump is taking over DC's police department, federalizing it. Because it's the cycle of continued crime, catch, release, until someone's life is taken, and then maybe they'll put them away for good. You're right, Corey. That's the Democrat way. That is the Democrat way. But Corey, if you recognize that, that's racist. That's racist, Corey. You can't recognize stuff like that. Don't do that, Corey. Oh man. Yeah, but that's the problem. Because the Democrats are continually telling the black community
they're going to put you all back in chains.
The Republicans, are going to put y'all back in chains. Back in. Right? Back in. The black community is enslaved to the Democrat Party, has been since LBJ said that he was going to get them to vote for the Democrat Party for the next 200 years. All it took was the Great Society programs and that Civil Rights Act. He was vehemently opposed to it, but he was like, you know what? To get these black people, give them a little something, just enough, not anything substantial, right? We're going to give them some fake political power, some, civil rights legislation, and appease them, and then we'll keep them on the plantation, right, for the next 200 years. And the strategy is working. 90+% Democrat in almost every major election. And the one thing, I don't tell black people to vote Republican, because I myself am not a Republican. But I plead with them, get off the Democrat plantation. Think outside of the categories of the left. Stop. This is insane, because black people are by nature conservative socially. But they keep allowing the Democrat to push them further and further left and to vote for policies that are destroying their communities. Illegal immigration hurts black people first and foremost. Why? Because those jobs that could be done, and you could take those skills, those skills of learning how to build and like build houses and all these other things. You could take those and turn them into an entrepreneurial venture. Well, those things are now going to cheaper labor because they can go to Home Depot, find somebody to work for. This has been the playbook. Walter Williams wrote about it. The Davis-Bacon Act and all of these other things in the 1920s. This has been the play by Democrats for almost 100 years. They need a low-skilled labor force. Well, what's not low skilled, but low skilled and low wage. Essentially, the illegal immigrants are the new wage slave. We're all wage slaves because of the income tax. But y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying. But that hurts black people. Who did they move the immigrants? What neighborhoods did they move the immigrants into? It wasn't upscale white neighborhoods. Where did they move them? They put them in the community centers that were vacant because they had closed them down in the black community. We can't give y'all this community. That's too much funding problem. But guess what? The migrants come. Oh, we got money. Yeah, sprinkle on them. Sprinkle it, right? They just want what?
I just want some money.
They just want some money. That's it. And they found the money for the migrants. They were coming up here. They were coming here to America, to the United States, with their handout. Yes, give me. Right? That's it, right? They
took our jobs.
What is it? They
took our jobs.
They took them. But we're supposed to turn a blind eye to that and still vote for the Democrats. 90%. They took our jobs. They'll say, oh, black people don't want those jobs. Say it's who? They want to work for a wage that can allow them to feed their families. But when you artificially inflate the workforce, then these companies can pay peanuts to that's what they say. Yeah, nobody wanted those jobs. Right. That's what everybody says, right? Okay. Nobody wants those jobs. People like to eat. People like to have a place to stay, to live. But they don't want to work for peanuts. And when you artificially inflate the numbers in the workforce, the price for what goes down, right? So they can pay the immigrants. Oh, yeah, we'll pay you a non-living wage because they'll find a way. They'll figure it out. They get 20 of them to a house. All of them, then they'll figure it out. And then they come and they get onto the social services as well, right? That's it. They get onto them too. And they figure out how to work the system because it's not hard. And you all that don't believe that, my wife used to actually work to help people get those benefits that actually needed them. And there was fraud and waste even then, 12, 13, 14 years ago. This is not new. So you can keep lying to yourself if you want to, right? The Democrats do not want to help black people.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No, right? No, absolutely not. Right? And then everybody continues to talk about the fact that, oh, you want to be white adjacent and you want white acceptance. Actually, no. I only want to rock with people who I'm ideologically similar with. That's what I want. Whether they be black, white, Asian, Indian, Latino, whatever. I don't look at people and think, oh, that they're my color, so they're my people. No. That'll get you in trouble. That'll get you in trouble. We got a super chat from Yoshi. I'm about to leave in about 3 minutes, y'all. And that is why minimum wage hikes don't work. Right, because the minimum wage will always be zero. Because companies will automate. And then you'll be out of a job. And you'll make nothing. An artificial minimum wage, you can raise it to $40 an hour. Guess what? McDonald's will bring in robots. You better find, yeah. You better find something. Yeah. All right. That's my alarm telling me it's time to roll. Yes. Thank you for the super chat, MH. I appreciate that. All right. So I think I've rage baited people enough, huh? Yes. Right. Yes. All right. I've rage baited you all enough. Y'all sufficiently rage baited the trolls. Have I done my job? Huh? And for those of you that support, I appreciate you all. Thank you thank you for the likes and comments and subscriptions. Yes. I appreciate everybody for rolling with me today. Yes. I know. I love to get on here because the trolls, they make it fun. Now, I love the support as well. The support is primary, but the trolls make it interesting because they come in and they're just right there. Right there. Yes. All right. Appreciate you all. Yes. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, SA, and thank you, God-seeking atheist. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. We're about to head out. We're going to bring up the closeout screen. And until next time, wait, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, support, do all of that stuff. Until next time, 1 Corinthians 16:13, because I have to let people know this. I'm just quoting that verse. Be on the alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. See y'all around. Bye.